Lady Jade, thank you so much for joining us. I know that while you were queen of Winter's Edge, you and Kelbo talked quite a bit and developed quite a good friendship. And Shalazar wanted to ask you a couple questions about that.
Yeah. Hey, Miss Jade, how are you? And also, guys, not to be confused with Lady Jay, I think she spells it, and you
JAE.
spell it Jade, right?
Yes.
Okay. Jae, whatever. I don't know. I don't know how to spell. I'm like the only person in the world's ever misspelled the letter A before. So, I mean,
It's okay.
what do I
You're
know?
you're still lovable.
Yeah,
No,
thanks. I appreciate it.
no,
I mean, that
definitely
Hey,
not.
shut your mouth, Flo. Shut your whore mouth. Important people are talking, Flo. All right.
Oof.
So anyway, let's get back to this. All right. First off, I'd like to thank you for coming on the podcast. It was an absolute honor for you to take some time to talk about my buddy Kelbo. So I guess my first question is, how did Sir Kelbo influence you when you were Queen of Winter's Edge?
Um, I don't. He was such a strong person, and he was always someone that I knew that whenever I was having an issue, whether it was a, I guess, Amtgard professional issue or Amtgard emotional issue, I could go to him and talk to him, and he would help me walk through it and come to a resolution. Um, but he was always such a strong. He was always there. I could always count on him to help me walk through things and come to some kind of a outcome that was good for everybody, you know?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was really
yeah.
good at that. Yeah. Now you're going to be the last one on our podcast, or on this podcast, the last interview, and we have heard that from time and time again. I mean, he's just an outstanding dude when it came to that, and he was, because he was so level headed, man. He was
Yeah.
he always was able to keep a level head, no matter how frustrated you were. Because trust me, I was
Yeah.
that guy. I was that angry guy that was like, "Can you believe this mother said this?" He'd be like,
Same.
"Well, let me stop you," and then he was really good about calming a person down and walking you through it. You're absolutely right. I'm glad you mentioned that. That is awesome. Yeah, he was pretty good about that. Something that reminded me when talking to you about coming on, one of the things I wanted to point out, which really hasn't been talked about a lot, Kelbo Kelbo did pretty good in his real life. He made pretty good money because, as mentioned on almost everybody's podcast, he was a brilliant guy. And the last event when he that last event I was with him where he got knighted, we were sitting around the area where all the vendors were, the vendor area, and I was talking to one of our friends, and he and I were sitting there talking to one of our friends, and this vendor who I had just met was selling soap, and she was explaining what kind of soap she had. And as we heard from Golan and probably a couple others, he liked to drink beer, and she mentioned she had a beer soap, and he was like, I didn't know I wanted to buy soap today, but look at that, I'm gonna buy soap today. And not only did he buy his soap, his beer soap, but he also paid extra so that other people around him could pick out bars of soap. And you were one of them, and that's what
Yeah.
made me think of that, because not a lot of people mention this, but man, he did this for everybody. I mean, not buy soap, but buy them soap, but he would always, he was so generous when it came to making sure. I mean, I think Lady Jade made a comment when we were talking with her, but might have also been afterwards when we were just BSing. But she was talking about how he would be so surprised when they would buy his dinner or something because it was something he did. He would always make sure someone got to come to an event by paying their way or giving them gas money or something along those lines. He was just such a generous dude. So not only was he one of the smartest guys I knew and one of the most level-headed guys I knew and always willing to help people, but he was just so generous and gave as much as he could. So with the exception of go ahead, sorry.
It's fine. I was just going to say he was very caring, a very giving person.
Yes, absolutely he was. And with the exception of the squire's belt that Oz kept trying to take from him, he would pretty much give you anything he was wearing to
Yep. He actually did that to me once.
He
touching back on the
something
soap.
Off his body.
Yes. Yes. But to bounce back to the soap conversation, that same event, he brought an armful of soap over to me and Kay when we were vending and was like, I got you guys soap. And we were like, what? Why? And he's like, because it's cool and it has fairy names. And we started going through the soap and it was like Fairy Glen and Glitter, whatever have you, So, and I have all of the soap that he got me sitting on a bowl in my bathroom on my sink, and I don't use it. And I started thinking one day, I know it. I started thinking one day, he would bitch me out if I did not use this soap. So I started using it.
He would. Good. He would. Good. He'd be. I could already see him because he's so. Sorry, Flo. I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just agreeing with you. He was exactly going with the story.
Yeah, well, he's so. I mean, he's so pragmatic about everything. He'd be like, "Why the hell would you have soap if you're not going to use it?"
Exactly, and I could hear him in my head saying this, and I'm like, "I'm sorry. I'm going to use the soap. I'm using the soap."
That's awesome. So, go ahead. Sorry, I keep interrupting. I'm so excited to talk to you. Go ahead.
Me too. But I was gonna say, no, the clothing that he gave me, I actually still have. His personal colors and my personal colors were the same, the black and gold. And he had a black and gold, like a really super sparkly black and gold tunic that he had made. And he was wearing it one of my first Neverwinter events. And I walked up to him. I said, "I love your tunic." And he's like, "Really? These are my colors?" And I was like, "They're my colors too." And later on that night, he sought me out and gave me that tunic.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That is really cool. So, well, with that being said, what is your favorite memory? Because I just told you my favorite memory of you and Kelbo. What is your favorite memory with you and Kelbo?
Jeez, I really don't know if I can like pinpoint a specific favorite. Maybe, I don't know. There were many times.
I tell you what. Tell me all your favorite. Well, probably not all of them. Tell me a couple of your favorite. Yeah.
Okay. He would always come and sit with us whenever we were vending. He would just come and sit in our booth and we'd just talk, or I think there was a time where I might have taught him, or tried to anyway, teach him how to crochet. I don't know if it got very far, but we would eat lunch together, like at the booth, and I don't know, we would just exist together, and it was so nice just to have his energy there, There was also a time that we went to the Gathering of the Clans together, and well, we didn't go together, but we went
ended
separate
up
vehicles.
there together.
Yeah, we ended up there together, and I would sit with him and just, same thing all over again, just a different setting. We would just sit and talk, and he was so easy to talk to. I could just tell him all my problems with no judgment. I wouldn't have to worry about him like being like, "Oh, this woman is weird," I didn't have to worry about any of that kind of stuff, and I could talk to him about anything really, and I did. I talked to him about just about anything, and he would always have some very useful piece of advice to give me. Whether I took that advice or not was not against him, but
Right. As we do.
yeah, right. But no, he was just always so easy to talk to, and I think that's one of my favorite memories is just talking to the man. I loved it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, man. Yeah, I trust me. I'm not gonna say every day, but there are quite a few days when it's like, God, man, why the hell did that just happen? And then like you reach to pick up the phone because you're gonna call him, and it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have that. I have that happen a lot. I have
Mhm.
that happen a lot for sure. So I get it, man. I get it. I loved, like I mentioned in a couple other ones. We spent so much time on the road together. I've heard so many stories, and let's face it, man. If we put out a questionnaire saying, yeah, anyone who wants to be a part of this podcast to celebrate his life, we would be recording. We would
Forever.
be recording people till like the end of time. There would be so many people volunteering to
Well,
say
that's
a
the
few
kind of person
words.
that he was
Yeah,
too.
absolutely. Because he went out of his way to make sure everybody was welcomed and everybody was having a good time. And that's a
Absolutely.
unique quality, and quite frankly a badass quality for someone to have. So awesome.
Yep.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on the podcast and spending a couple minutes with us, telling your story and helping us celebrate the awesome dude that Kelbo was, and because I know he loved you to death, and and of course your girlfriend. I think he loved both of you guys tremendously,
He
not
was
just
definitely
you,
one
but
of our favorites.
yeah, awesome, very cool. So yeah, so I'd like to thank you, and I think Flo probably wants to thank you too, right, Flo? Thank her, Flo.
No, so
Do it, Flo.
at knife point. The no, so one of the really cool things that I take away from this is just another example of someone reaching out, someone thinking about other people. A little bit of thoughtfulness goes a long, long way.
Yes.
And the soap story that was told earlier is really just that. It's someone being mindful of what's going on and going, I ended up I got some of this extra stuff. I know who would find this really, really cool. Things like that stick with you. They
Mhm.
can they not only change the people involved, in that it can grow their relationship, and you can become better friends and things like that. But everyone doing that can change the kingdom as a whole. Being more mindful and more thoughtful like that can change the environment that you are living in. And I think that's one of the things that Kelbo did better than anyone that I've ever seen, is he changed the environment that he was in. He made it a more positive, more thoughtful place to be.
Yep. And after a while, all he really had to do was just walk into a room, and it would just be like that.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
So thank you so
and it's
much.
just like,
Oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
I was just gonna say, there's another knight from Neverwinter, Sir Bjorn, who taught me that lesson when I first started Amtgard, and he made a point to take me aside, and he was like, "Look, when it comes to helping the other Amtgarders around you, it's always important to do just what you were talking about, which is go out of your way and do the little things. You don't have to do the grandiose, gestures. You can do simple little things.
Mhm.
Like you see a couple of people standing around in a area, and there's a bench somewhere close by, you know, have a couple of guys carry that bench to them so they have a place to sit. Something very simple, takes 5 seconds of your time, and boom, you make it more comfortable for them, or whatever the case may be. Something simple like that definitely changes the attitudes of the people, And because when you do something nice for someone, or someone does something nice for you, the first thing that happens is you release, endorphins that stimulate your body. And when that happens, it makes you happy. And these are the things that really get you thinking about the stuff that's happening around you, and it makes you enjoy the time that you're having. And he was just an expert at that shit. So, which is,
Yeah.
I mean, which is what makes that scenario that you were talking about, that he changes the atmosphere for everyone because he was so good at it. And it's infectious. Yep. That's the great part about it. It's infectious.
Yeah.
So I guess my takeaway for that is, anyone listening, that Kelbo did something nice for you and made your day at an event, pay it forward and do something nice for someone at the next event. Someone you don't know. Doing something nice for one of your friends, I mean, it's a given. Do something nice for someone you don't know. If you don't recognize someone, go and do something nice for them. That's my takeaway for it.
Do it in Kelbo's name.
Yeah, and do it in Kelbo's name. Yeah, absolutely. Bring a chair to someone that's standing up and go, here, my buddy Kelbo would have done this for me, so I'm going to do it for you. Yeah. And absolutely. And then if they ask you who Kelbo is, tell them. That's what this is all about. I mean, let's not forget all the cool stuff he's done. Tell them who Kelbo is and all the awesome stuff that he did for Amtgard and everyone in it. So that's the whole point of this podcast. So awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.